Star Wars: The Clone Wars had far more than its fair share of great stories. Longer ones like the Umbara arc and the Shadow Collective arc tend to dominate praise for the show, but there were many good one-episode stories as well. One of the most spectacular, however, is often forgotten, and its true importance isn't really recognized all that much. That episode was the 16th episode of Season 1, The Hidden Enemy.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
The Hidden Enemy is a prequel to the Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie, detailing an early phase of the Battle of Christosis before the three largest clashes that were mentioned and depicted in the movie respectively. It begins with the 501st Legion's Torrent Company and the 212th Attack Battalion setting a trap for an enemy army in Chelidonia, the Christosan capital, only to be outflanked by the droids and ambushed themselves. Information from a captured tactical droid reveals that there's a traitor in the Republic's ranks. While Commander Cody and Captain Rex hunt down the traitor, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi go on a scouting mission as a diversion. At the Confederacy's command center, they battle Asajj Ventress, albeit inconclusively, and discover that she's been rallying a massive droid army in conjunction with General Worm Loathsome, setting up the battle to come. In this video, however, we'll be focusing on what happens simultaneously with the Jedi's battle with Ventress, the more important part of the episode. Rex and Cody narrow the field of potential traitors down to just one squad, a squad commanded by Clone Sergeant Slick. At first, it seems Trooper Chopper is the traitor, but when Chopper defends himself, Slick slips up, unintentionally revealing himself to be the traitor. Rex and Cody chase after and eventually capture the rogue sergeant, though not before he bombs the Republic armory. It's a story that, presumably, most of you are familiar with. It's also a much more important story than most would realize. Along with Rookies, the 5th episode of the season, The Hidden Enemy was one of the first clone focal episodes, which ended up becoming the series' most beloved common story type. Though Rookies is the best starting example for these types of stories, The Hidden Enemy did actually start a number of important story staples that would make later clone-centric stories so great. And not only does the episode set some excellent story precedent for the rest of the series, but it also sets up character development, most notably for Rex and Cody. Something that the first season of the Clone Wars really tried to push was that all of the clones were different, and this episode does that really more than any of the others. This is most evident during the questioning scene when all the members of Slick's squad show off wildly varying personalities, which contrast with those of each other and of Rex, Cody, and Slick. But the rest of the episode does a lot to develop distinct personalities for those three as well. Of all the clones in the Clone Wars, Commander Cody has one of the least unique character types, which is mostly due to the fact that he was already an established character. He was essentially a model of the average clone. He followed orders but was capable of improvisation. He was serious but not robotic, and he was above all straightforward and intelligent. The Hidden Enemy is one of the best windows into how the Clone Wars treated his character and how they kept this impression fairly consistent. Cody essentially takes a backseat in the hunt for the traitor in Republic ranks despite outranking Rex, something that can probably be attributed to him just trusting Rex's intuition. He's more laid back than Rex is, but still serious about finding the traitor, and shows no signs at all of apathy toward the mission. The distinction between how he and Rex handle the mission is because that's all Cody sees it as, a mission. Commander Cody was a very mission-oriented clone. He didn't really care about Slick's motive or the philosophical implications of it all. He was just out to catch a traitor because that was his duty to the Republic, and to him, that was all that really mattered. And that's not a bad thing. He didn't mess up because of it at all during the chase, and he even took the initiative himself at certain points. He simply wasn't emotionally invested in the mission, and nor would most clones be if put in his place. Captain Rex is a completely different story. Rex is a fan favorite character, and not just because he's cool. He's one of the most unique clones in the show, and he undergoes more character development than most other main characters. The Hidden Enemy is the very start of that character development. From the outset, Rex was different from the other clones. He improvised much more than any of his brothers, he made his own decisions, and he wasn't afraid to question his Jedi General. But by this point in the show, he was still a bit naive. He had a lot more of the normie clone in him than he would later in the series. This episode marks the first point where Rex encounters a complication in the standard worldview that all clones are fed. He's dealing with a clone traitor, something that isn't supposed to exist. For the first time, he has reason to question the Grand Army and the war as a whole, something he does quite a lot later in the series. At this point, he's perplexed by it and curious about it. Unlike Cody, he's emotionally invested. The writers of the episode put Rex's emotional investment on full display by having him essentially take charge, despite being the junior officer between him and Cody. It isn't that Rex is better than Cody, or even that he's just more interested in finding the traitor than Cody. He simply cares about the matter for more than just completing the mission. Rex wants to know the big why, and in doing so, he wants to figure out how as well. As a result, Rex pushes on ahead, concentrating more on the problem than Cody does, and coming up with several courses of action as a result. He's hell-bent on catching Slick, which is what helps him and Cody to eventually do so. And when they do, if you pay close attention, Rex is the one asking questions. Cody is mostly silent. This is because, as we said above, Cody doesn't really care about the motive, while for Rex, the motive is everything. He didn't really care about the mission, not nearly as much as he cared about what would cause a clone to have betrayed the Republic. And this leads us to the most important part of the episode, Slick. Slick was written perfectly, from how he was presented to his motivations. At the end of the episode, Rex and Cody paint Slick's reasons for betrayal as an excuse, a justification he came up with when Ventress offered him money. But this isn't all the truth, and the writers made this rather clear. Slick's motivations were very reasonable, as Rex probably later came to realize, and this implication is the first hint of complications in the traditional Republic good, CIS bad dichotomy in the series. Slick's presentation on the outside seems a bit like a gimmick. Rex and Cody don't suspect him at all at first, because he's the sergeant and they know and respect him. On the surface, this just seems like a ploy to make the revelation that he's actually the traitor more of a surprise. But this presentation actually has deeper connotations. By presenting Slick as a character Rex and Cody know and respect, the writers show that it's not just the weird, defective, chopper-like clones that have a capacity for treason. All of them do, even the most exemplary, like Slick. Slick was the most unique clone character the Clone Wars have presented so far, mostly because of his treasonous nature. This, again, set a good precedent. Slick was the precursor for many more highly unusual clone characters like Hardcase or 99. In doing this, the writers also took another swing at the popular view of clones as essentially living droids, which had been all too prevalent in the EU up to that point. Slick essentially smashed right through this mold for obvious reasons. But the hidden enemy's most important and most ingenious feature isn't just the characters, it's that Slick is entirely right. His actions were wrong. As Rex points out, all Slick was doing was killing his brothers, but his motivations for those actions, the observations he made about the nature of the Grand Army of the Republic were right. The Republic's clone troopers were absolutely slaves, grown simply to be sent out into battle in droves to die. This marked the very first time that Star Wars: The Clone Wars brought the moral dichotomy of the show into question, and it wouldn't be the last. It was dark, it was complex, it was absolutely brilliant, and it was a very bold step for writers that were tasked with making a show that was, at that point in time, primarily for kids. It was a turning point for the series, a shift away from lighter, kid-friendly adventures toward darker and more complex storylines with a much wider appeal. The show might have started with Ambush, and Rookies might have started its clone-centric episodes, but The Hidden Enemy was the true start of what made The Clone Wars The Clone Wars. It was the first hint of what was to come in the later seasons, the magic of the show that truly made it great. This sort of complicated moral dilemma is what makes The Clone Wars so much better than Rebels or anything else Lucasfilm has tried since. And it all started here, in the Republic Command Center on Christosis, as Clone Sergeant Slick berated the Jedi for sending his brothers to die. So that's why The Hidden Enemy was one of the Clone Wars' most important episodes. Are any of our observations today new to you, or did you infer this before? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below, and also let me know whether you think Slick was right or wrong, both morally and in his actions and how they intertwine. And just before you go guys, make sure you check out all those juicy links in the description below. One of which is my history channel, which is currently popping off with a lot of new history videos, and for all of you new subscribers, I do hope you're enjoying the videos there. And for the rest of the Geetsly Star Wars network, you can check out all of our Discord servers, as well as our gaming servers on Gary's Mod and on Roblox. Anyways guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.